beautiful soul, and welcome to Back to the Beginning Root Cause Conversations. I'm your host, Mona-Lize, a trauma informed holistic therapist specializing in healing trauma at its root cause and how that transforms human connection. In this podcast, you can expect deep conversations about trauma healing, navigating your spirituality in this complex 3D world, and real transformation stories from people who've done the work. This is where spiritual depth meets practical reality. So without further ado, let's dive in. Well, hello, beautiful human, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Beginning Root Cause Conversations. I'm your host, Mona-Lize, and today I have something really special for you, a transformation showcase, if you will. I'm sitting here with Grace, who has been on an incredible healing journey with me for the past 6 to 7 years. Now, I often talk about how we don't have time to be in therapy for many years or for the rest of your life, and I still maintain that. So I just want to clarify something important about Grace's journey. When we first started working together, Grace was still a teenager, dealing with anxiety, fears, life transitions, general pressures of life, really. And during those early years, we worked in clusters, a few sessions here and there when she needed the support, of course, with breaks and integration in between. This therapeutic approach helped her tremendously through those formative years. What's different now, though, is that Grace has also experienced my current transformation methodology, the intensive program-based work that creates permanent change in months, not years. When she transitioned to university, we implemented this deeper approach, and that's what she's graduating from, in a sense, at this point in time. So Grace has experienced both worlds, the supportive therapeutic work when she was younger and the intensive root cause transformation that I do now. She's living proof that when you heal the root cause of your patterns instead of just managing symptoms, transformation ripples out into every area of your life. Grace has navigated major life transitions, moved countries for university, and learned to remain calm in situations that would have completely overwhelmed her younger self. She's experienced every element of how I work, from traditional Western psychology to EFT, EMDR, astrology, shadow work, parts work, all of it. She's become the woman who breaks cycles instead of repeating them. So today we're going to dive deep into her authentic healing experience, the messy, beautiful, transformational reality of what it actually looks like to do the work. This isn't a highlight reel. This is a real story of how healing happens when you're willing to go back to the beginning and address the root cause. Grace, thank you so much for being here and for your willingness to share your journey with everyone.
Hello, thank you. I'm very excited. I'm quite an open book, so.
I know, and I'm really grateful for you because this isn't something that a lot of people would actually volunteer to do. So when you did, I was very excited, and I'm very grateful that you are an open book, because essentially when you're authentic and living in authenticity, there's nothing to hide.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad. I'm excited.
I'm so happy that you're here. So let's jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in saying that, Grace, you've been on this healing journey with me for several years now. Can you paint a picture of who you were when we first started working together versus who you are today?
Well, when I was younger, I was incredibly reactive. I was really depressed. I was really angry. I was just any little tiny thing would make me just like explode. It could be like the smallest thing, and I would just like erupt. And whereas now I'm a lot more calm, and the reactive side has slowly but surely turned into being a lot more responsive, and I'm able to look at my emotions and look at my feelings with love even if they're not necessarily the most positive emotion, I'm like, okay, you're here. I see you. This is how I'm going to deal with you rather than just like, ah, and have this massive emotional outburst, which doesn't help anyone in this situation. So I'm a lot more calm. I'm a lot more, yeah, yeah,
So what you're saying is you're able to sort of remove the emotion and observe it objectively and then respond instead of react, right?
yeah, definitely. Um, it's just I've become I like since that I'm able to like look at my emotions from like almost a different perspective and sort of view them as like from like a third party point of view.
That's
And
really
then I'm
good.
able to decide how I'm going to respond to that.
Yeah, and it's empowering, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say initially brought you to therapy as a teenager?
Well, originally therapy was just, I was on a CAMS waiting list in the UK and I didn't want to. I didn't want to be in therapy. It was still sort of, taboo at the time to be in help for anything other than like a physical health reason. And I was on a CAMS waiting list, and then I saw this therapist, and she wasn't great, gonna be honest. But it then got to the point where therapy started getting destigmatized, like through social media, and people were opening up about their journeys on therapy. And I was like, wait, maybe I kind of do need this. And went through my fair share of therapists before we found Mona. And yeah, I've never looked back. Yeah.
Oh, honey, you're very sweet. But this started during COVID, right? You were dealing with quite a lot of anxiety at that point in time.
Yes, I was very anxious, very depressed. I had undiagnosed ADHD. It was not a great time for me. It was it was really rough, and I was suicidal, and it was sort of being thrown into therapy felt very like, ah, I
System
don't want
shock.
it. Yeah, I didn't want this, and I was sort of reluctant to let it work at the beginning.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's actually a really important thing because people need to understand that if you're going to enter any kind of therapy or therapeutic space, if you are resistant to that, you will sabotage your way out of healing within the first session. So that's actually a very important point that you're making.
mhm.
When
Yeah,
because when you dropped your resistance, that's when things started changing.
yeah, definitely. Is when I became like a lot more open to the idea of therapy and of opening up to someone else.
Mm.
It was, and it's also, I think it's very important that it's with someone that clicks with
Yeah.
you. I think had I not been with you, I don't think I would have, like I honestly I we were at our wits' end by the time my mom and I had found you. Like I was like, seriously, like I don't care, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick of retelling my whole life story to these random people and then, you know, going home and feeling just a bit crap. Whereas I felt like you took the time to listen and like I wasn't just a, like just another check on a box. Like,
Oh, honey, I often tell you that you are probably my biggest success story. I am so exceptionally proud of you and how far you've come, not only maturing in age, obviously, as you've grown through the years, but how emotionally mature you've become And I look at you as an example and think to myself, gosh, had I had that level of emotional maturity at that age, I would probably have been able to move the world. So I'm extremely proud of you, but it's not really just me. Yeah, I'm the guide and I help you, but this is all you. You're the one who put in the work, and you're the one who was brave enough to face everything that needed to be faced. So pat yourself on the back there, honey, because you deserve it. Um, and look, you've said it. It's terrible going to a therapy session and just talking about your trauma and what your life experience over and over and over again. And you've had the experience with me and other therapists where you've had the more traditional sense of therapy, but then also the more holistic side of things and the program based work. How do you
Yeah.
find the two in comparison with one another? Because you had sort of the more supportive approach when you were younger, that
Yeah.
sort of was more environmentally focused at that point in time. And then we started digging really deep as we started the newer work more recently. So how would you explain the difference for you as somebody on the receiving end of this?
Well, the more like Western medicine sort of side of things, I feel has definitely like at the beginning it helped me improve my mood. So like being on meds and just like normal talk therapy, like that definitely improved my mood and helped me out of those like dark holes of, not knowing who I am and not knowing, you know, what's going on in my life. And it really helped that. Whereas I feel like the more holistic approach has been, it's helped with my mood, but it's not just it's like it's helped with my mood obviously, but been very it's been more cathartic, and that I've not had to have any help with my mood because of it, because my mood is not fluctuating from being like severely depressed or really anxious to then being incredibly, joyful, and then not being able to manage those dips but because of the more holistic side, I'm able to sort of keep it on more of that baseline of where I'm still being able to, I can still feel sad and I can still feel anxious and I can still feel happy, but now I'm able to deal with those emotions and again respond to them instead of just like react and just spiral and spiral and spiral.
So do you
And so,
feel like your nervous system baseline feels safer?
yeah, definitely.
That's beautiful. Because that's the beauty of the work, right? That's the whole point of it, being able to wake up every day feeling centered and grounded. And even if something happens to trigger you, that it doesn't throw your entire day.
Yeah. And I owe that to the more like holistic side of the way you work and that part that I've processed and have come to understand. And it's helped me understand myself more and realize what my triggers are and what, you know, and how I'm able to, yeah, realize what my triggers are and realize how to deal with them and realize how I am and what, really what makes me tick and what makes me sad, and going deeper into what, like the actual, like what is the root problem of it, rather than just like, okay, you're no longer depressed.
And look, I hear you, and you've been amazing at this. When you come to a session, 10, well, I would say 9 out of 10 times, you're already able to get to the root cause on your own. You can tell
Yeah.
me, oh, it's this. I know it's this, and we'll laugh about it. But at the end of the day, by the time we talk, you've worked through the journaling, you've done the tapping, and
Hmm.
you've sort of calmed your nervous system already because you've got the tools. You know how to do it now because I've taught you.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times have we demonstrated in a session how quickly you can get yourself out of a panic attack?
Oh, so many.
16 seconds. That's all you need. Okay. So before we move on, so you said something, or we spoke about the fact that 9 out of 10 times when you come into your session, you've already identified the root cause. And you always joke and laugh at it, at the fact that your pattern always seems to be around rejection. Can you share how that used to show up in your life versus how you handle that now?
It used to really influence all of my friendships and a lot of my relationships, but it would influence it in very different ways. So like with my friendships, oddly I would just like open up and just say everything to my friends, like, and be like, here is all of me, like I'm hiding nothing from you, so like you have to love me,
Uh,
sort of way, which like in hindsight that doesn't make sense, but that's what would happen, and that would make rejection hurt so much more.
because you were vulnerable. You were
Yeah.
giving everything and it was being rejected. And I know you said it sounds stupid in hindsight, but isn't that the beauty and the innocence of being a child?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did nothing
She
wrong in that. Um,
no.
it's just the response that was terrible that made you feel the way you were.
Yeah, but then when it came to a lot more within my family, I would be very closed off because I was so scared that they were gonna just be like, "Oh no, that's what's wrong with her." Which obviously my parents would never just like leave me to the dirt. But that had to do with my anxiety back then because I was just so scared of just being rejected, and it's something that I've put a lot of work in to, being, and especially with my attachment style, I'm very like anxiously attached. If someone doesn't respond to me like in a message within like the first like 5 minutes of me sending it, I'm like, right, you hate me. You actually want me to die. I'm just gonna, leave. And so that's what I would do a lot when I was younger, is because of that, I would just remove myself from the friendship so that they wouldn't reject me. It was like it was coming from me, and I
That's
would
more of a
self-sabotage.
fearful avoidant attachment, honey, but we know you struggle with avoidance as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would just remove myself from the situation. So it would be like, uh-huh, you're not, you can't reject me now because I've taken
Left.
myself out, so you can't do that.
Yeah.
But then
But
with other friendships and relationships, I feel like sometimes it would come out of the blue. And then when I would be rejected, it would just be like hell came crashing up to earth and everything was falling apart. And I'd stop going into school. I'd stop, I'd become very isolated. I'd isolate myself from everyone. And it would just be hell. It would be hell on earth if I got any sense that someone was saying, like, I don't want you here. And now that I've grown and I've done the work, it's sort of rejection is still something that I'm very scared of, but I know how to deal with it so I can still be myself and I can still have friendships and create new friendships. And I'm able to logicalize things and rationalize things into, oh, my friend's not responding because they're at uni. Oh, um, they're not being dismissive. They've just had a really long day. Like they actually don't hate me. Um, it's okay. But then times where I have been rejected, I've been able to grow the self-confidence and my self-worth to being like, well, if it would still hurt, but if you don't want, if like I don't want to be in a space where I'm not wanted because I'm worth more than that. And I
Absolutely.
deserve to be wanted and I deserve to be loved and coming
Treated
so
well.
yeah. So having that awareness and having that self-growth into, I deserve to be wanted and be loved, that it's sort of, it's taken away parts of that like fear of rejection because yeah, I don't need to be accepted by everyone because I don't accept everyone as well.
Exactly. And it's
Like
not,
obviously I accept everyone, but like
yeah,
I'm not,
acceptance is the
I
wrong
don't
word.
accept is the wrong word, but like I don't have to be liked by you.
Everybody cannot get along. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Every human being walking the face of this planet cannot get along with every other human being walking around. It's just the way it is, where we have people that we have common interests with and some that we don't. And at the end of the day, if you can ascertain for yourself whether this is a relationship that can become a really strong friendship or a partnership or whatever. But
Yeah.
if it's not, and there is incompatibility and you just don't vibe with the person, you just don't vibe with the person.
Yeah.
It's
And
not, we mistake that. And that's what I think you've worked on so hard is you don't take these things so personally anymore.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like another thing when I was younger, I like was like desperate to be liked by everyone, even people I didn't like.
I know.
And I think that's what I mean. Like I just want to be liked by everyone, even the people I don't like. And I'm like, wait, why don't they like me? Diva, it's because you don't like them. Don't worry. Like this is good for you,
Oh,
if
you are my
anything.
diva, my favorite diva, for sure. Yeah. And look, it's been beautiful to witness how you do not people please anymore. It really has, because you used to make yourself really small. And what you've just mentioned just showcased beautifully how attachment styles, the whole theory is great, yes, and it's true, but it's not a set in stone concept. It's a fluent concept. You
Hmm.
can be completely securely attached with your friends, but utterly avoidant in your relationship and anxious in your family.
Yeah.
And that's what you've just explained. You've had anxious and fearful avoidant behavior. You've had secure attachment, and now what's happening for you is everything is slowly moving into more of a secure attachment, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's across the board, really, which I love. Um, I've actually really, especially over the last while, watched you navigate some incredibly stressful situations with a calmness that honestly blows my mind. Can you think of a specific example where you surprised yourself with how you handled something?
Um, yeah, like in the summer, this summer I was on my grad trip with my friends, and as you do on a grad trip, you go out clubbing. And we went out, it was like one of our final nights, and what happened was I got touched inappropriately and one of my best friends got spiked.
No,
Um, and disgusting behavior from whoever did
really,
that.
really
But
some seriously weak masculinity going on here.
yeah, and it was just like the second I found out and we realized that something was wrong, it was like a switch in my head. And it what would have happened like even like a year ago, a year and a half ago, prior to this happening, it like that would not have happened. I think I would have started spiraling. I think I would have had a panic attack. I think it wouldn't have gone well.
Oh,
But it was like a switch that, you know, that needed to happen, and was able to just like stay calm and sort out what needed to happen. So, people sort out like, okay, right, you go get her some water, you call an Uber, you do this, you do that. Which was also quite hard for us all to do because my friend, we were in Spain, she's the only one that spoke Spanish.
oof.
And we were in it was a non-touristy part of Spain.
Oh,
So um it was, I was able to just like switch off emotion almost. Not that I wasn't stressed or that I wasn't feeling incredibly angry about what happened, but I was able to say, right, I see you. I'm putting you away for now and I'm gonna deal with you later. And it was that sort of like adrenaline rush of, okay, let's sort this out. Someone go get a bucket. Someone do this, someone do that. Right, we're now getting a taxi to A&E. Like, and it was I was able to just like stay calm despite what was going on around because we were also like drunk.
of course.
And
You were on a grad trip.
and it was, yeah, it was just, I think had I not put the work in, I don't think I would have been able to sort that out. And also, I'm a Capricorn, so I take responsibility.
That's my girl.
And so it it obviously was not nice to take responsibility in this situation, but I'm glad that I've realized that I do well when I'm taking responsibility, and that I was there in that situation so that it was sorted out, and that, we phoned her parents. We, we brought her
You handled
passport.
it.
Yeah, it was dealt with.
You handled it. And I remember talking to you about this in a session after it happened. And I was so incredibly proud of how you handled it. Like, I I couldn't actually even articulate how proud I was because you completely took control of the situation, even though all of you had had a couple of drinks and, you know, but like you yourself mentioned, you're a Capricorn and
Mm.
you understand that Capricorn, we step into taking responsibility. There's an element of that in your personality already, and you thrive in that, and you've showcased that in many aspects of your life, to be fair. And you've experienced everything in my programs and my pocketbook of therapy, the EFT, the MDR, astrology, shadow work, parts work, all of it. Which
Yeah.
approaches do you think resonated with you the most and why?
Oh, definitely tapping.
Yeah.
Tapping has been something I was also quite reluctant to start at the beginning. I was like, hmm.
You thought you looked like a chicken when we started.
Yeah, I was like, why am I doing this? Um, I must look ridiculous. But it has genuinely become part of my daily life. It is something I do very frequently. Just with the smallest things, it could be I start feeling, let's just go with rejection. I start feeling a little bit rejected. It could, again, just be from my friend hasn't texted me back in 5 minutes. And I will just tap, and then immediately I'm like, okay, wait, I'm fine. They don't want me dead. I'm okay. Or just like with anger, and it really helps me just like lower the the lower
Intensity.
the intensity of the emotion, and so that I'm able to rationalize it and like be right, you're fine. And also, I will say shadow work as well.
Yeah.
That has been something we've been doing a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just been, again, just being able to pinpoint, okay, my anger, right? You're feeling angry. Let's let's put that in my folder in my brain. Let's clock that and say, how are we going to deal with that? Or like my passive aggressive aggression, my passive
Yeah.
aggression.
Yeah.
Um, and just, okay, you're being passive aggressive, Grace. Okay, let's stop that. And we're gonna put it in the folder. And then coming to the realization that these things are there to protect me, but they're
Yeah.
not doing me any good.
These things are all your bodyguards, right? They're your bodyguard. Anger is your bodyguard. It's trying to keep you safe, and you know this better than anybody else. But
Yeah.
it's starting to love that angry part of yourself for the work
Yeah.
that it's trying to do, and you've implemented that beautifully. And my observation is that your anger is much less explosive than what it used to be. You're a lot more centered in your approach to pretty much everything from what I've seen.
Yeah, and it definitely feels that way. Um, I mean, there was a situation a couple of weeks ago where if if I hadn't started doing the shadow work and tapping, I think I would have burned a good few bridges purely because of my anger. And I mean, I wasn't not angry about the situation, but it was a lot less aggressive towards me, not outwardly, but it was a lot less, you know, explosive again.
You
And
didn't react from an angry space.
I mean, I definitely was angry. I
Yeah,
had
you
a
felt the emotion for sure.
yeah, I had the crash out of a lifetime to my poor mate afterwards, and I was like sobbing and screaming. But once that was done, I was fine. It didn't linger. It wasn't something that was ongoing.
You didn't suppress it and let
Mm.
it fester and grow into something that would eventually become explosive.
Yeah, no,
You
definitely
dealt with
not.
it and you
Yeah.
completed that cycle. So again, I cannot express to you how proud I am of you. You've also experienced the method that I use, refiling, as I
Yeah.
love to term it. Um, how do you think? Because we've worked a lot around rejection with that specifically, right?
Yeah.
And how do you think that by working with the root causes of like the rejection and how that was formed in your frame of reference, do you think that working with the root cause and moving those memories, refiling essentially, is what also added to the anxiety sort of lowering to where it is today?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because you seem less triggered or less easily triggered.
Yeah, yeah, it's calms me down a lot. And it's just, I feel just so much more just zen and centered. And it's, yeah,
Good.
sorry, that's kind of a naff answer.
It's not really a naff answer. No, this is good because this is us. This is how we talk. And I want the people to know how we talk. It's important because you know that in my sessions you can tell me anything. I don't
Yeah,
judge you. Yes, I
no,
will laugh with you, but I will never laugh at you.
no,
And as much as we can be serious in our sessions, we can also get silly because
yeah.
it's needed. It's
Yeah,
needed. So it's good that people get that part of the relationship as well.
yeah,
Okay, so you brought up the fact that you are a Capricorn sun sign already.
yeah.
I'm curious, how has understanding your astrological blueprint helped you to make sense of the patterns well, your patterns, your cycles, your relationships, connections, that type of thing?
Well, with relationships, just in general, my moon is in Leo.
Yeah,
So like my emotions are massive.
we know
Um,
this.
yeah. And so it really, what is it in the fourth house?
Yeah, your moon's in Leo in the fourth house.
Yeah, so I just can't remember what house it was in, but it's got so much to do with like with my mom and with home, and that's where a lot of my emotions are centered around. And with having some trauma with my mom and her medical issues, it has becoming aware of that and like being like, oh, okay, this is why played such a massive part in my life, not just because it's got to do with my mum and my home. It's like, okay, let's see what we can do with that. Um, yeah. And then like I've got lots of earth in my chart. So my rising is a Taurus. And then my sun is a Capricorn. So I think I'm quite grounded and realizing that I'm quite stable and for people to lean on, which I really don't mind as well. And I think because that it makes me a better friend, have being that person that people can come to talk to. Um, and then having that having not minding it is also where my Capricorn comes in with the responsibility. It's okay, you can tell me your problems, please do. I'll try help you sort them out. But also knowing it's not mine to take responsibility over. I'm not responsible for, you
But
know.
you did do that in the past, and you've
Yeah.
you've learned how to balance the empathic side of you, where what is
Yeah.
yours and what is not yours.
Yeah, definitely. Um, you know, figuring out where I should be taking responsibility and where I shouldn't has been a big part of what I've worked on, what we've worked on is like, okay, I'm taking responsibility here and here, which is great. I'm taking responsibility here, but I shouldn't be. And then I'm not taking responsibility here, but I should be. And figuring that out and then balancing that and sorting it out has really brought just so much like calm.
What you're
And
explaining is actually such a beautiful element of astrology, because a lot of people just identify with their sun sign. In your case, that's Capricorn, right?
yeah,
But your sun sign is actually almost viewed as your hero's journey. So, in your case, being Capricorn, it's that sense of responsibility that needs to be balanced. So, in your younger years, you used to take responsibility for things and people that was absolutely not supposed to be in your lap
yeah,
as a child. But that ended up causing you to be in situations where you were taking responsibility in your everyday life for things that were not your responsibility. And
yeah,
balancing that is what your sun sign is about, essentially.
yeah.
So you've actually just described the concept of your astrological sun sign so beautifully.
Oh, great.
Um, but you're right in saying you've got a lot of a lot of earth in your chart, because not only is your rising Taurus, you've got your Mars in Taurus, you have your Venus in Taurus, and you have your Mercury, not in Taurus, in Capricorn. Your Venus is in Capricorn, and your Mercury is in Capricorn. So a lot of, well, all your personal planets are in earth signs. Your
Yeah,
rising is an earth sign, your sun sign is an earth sign, and then your moon sign is a fire sign. And
yeah,
again, interesting how you spoke about your friendships when you were younger. You would just open up and be your complete, authentic self, being
yeah,
vulnerable and open emotionally to this new friend, and then be rejected for it.
yeah,
And that would create even bigger emotions because it's Leo, it's fiery, it's expansive. So you've actually already described your own astrology chart so well, because you also have your descendant, which is how you approach close relationships, in
Yeah.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
And you know how deep you go with your close friend. You've just learned
Yeah.
to be a little bit more responsible in who you go deep with from the beginning.
Yeah. And to me, being in Scorpio makes so much sense because I can't do small talk. I
I know.
can't. I absolutely hate it. I think it's so pointless.
Oh, I know.
And
I
so
know.
having those I really struggle having relationships that aren't deep. Like very surface level relationships to me just aren't personally worth it unless it's like, it's a colleague, it's a schoolmate where you've got to be civil and you've got to be, I'm not going to be mean to someone, I'm not going to be nasty, I'm not going to dislike someone because we aren't close. But I don't invest too much time in relationships that I can't be deep with because I just think small talk and how's the weather and oh, what did you do last week is just so pointless.
You value depth.
Yeah.
You value depth. And that also has to do with your Venus placement in Capricorn.
Yeah.
You are a boss ass bitch, essentially. And when it comes to things like that, because it also actually is in your ninth house. Um, and that says a lot. It says a lot about the kinds of conversations. You also have Mercury there. You like high level conversation. You value deep connection. It's important.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it also explains a little bit of the avoidance because
Yeah.
Capricorn in the shadow can be a complete workaholic. And Venus was in retrograde when you were born.
Yeah.
So all of that can have an impact, and that can explain why you'll remove yourself from a situation before they can reject you. That's the Scorpio descendant talking to Venus in Capricorn. Um, and that's what's so interesting for me about astrology. And I need to stop talking about it because otherwise this entire episode will be about it. Um, but can you honestly say that this has added value for you in your life, in how you approach your connections with other people, your healing, and just sort of where you're headed at this point in
Yeah,
time?
definitely. I think it's knowledge and knowledge is power and it helps me like decipher, okay, this is who I am. This is how I'm vibing with this person. And I know why and I know how and why I don't like certain people, why I like this or why I don't like this. And it helps me become like an overall better person having that knowledge.
Self awareness is so important. And this is the last thing I'm going to say about astrology, or try to say about astrology at least, is that it's not about woo woo and horoscopes that you're reading in the magazine or online. This is about how energy shows up in your life, how patterns show up in your life. It's a guiding system. I don't use astrology as a predictive tool in any way. I use it as a guiding system. It shows you how energy shows up in your life, and it's done through years, thousands of years of repetitive data analysis around how the energy globally gets impacted by certain aspects in the celestial bodies. So I'm very happy that this has helped you because I know how much astrology helped me. And I
Mhm.
know it's helped a number of my other clients, but I think it's still a modality that gets rejected because there is a complete misunderstanding around what astrology really is.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
okay, next question. What has it been like? And this sounds like such a, for me personally, it's like this is such a question. But I would like people out there to know this. What has it been like having someone guide you through healing root causes rather than managing just the symptoms?
It's been great. I very much rely, as much as, especially when I was younger, I was like, no, I'm independent and I can do this by myself.
Capricorn,
And
Taurus.
um, and I still very am much like that. I'm still a very independent person. I'm an introvert. I like doing things by myself. Um, but I think I've always needed a very strong support system um, to have that independence. And so if I was doing this by myself and without someone that knew what they were talking about and knew what they were doing, I would still be stuck in like these cycles of like self-destruction and self-sabotage. And I'd still, you know, it wouldn't be great. And having having you to guide me through this has just sort of been like, that is my home base. Right. Regardless of what happens, I can always come back and soundboard what's happened with you and be like, okay, so I did this, and then I did this, and this is how I felt afterwards. But I'm still sort of like, I'm not feeling great about it. And having you to like, so that's me like now. But then while I was still learning all these like techniques and learning how to process my emotions and what I'm going through, it just felt very comforting and, you know, very just steady. Yeah, it was just very steady and like, okay, I'm good, I'm fine, because regardless of what happens within these next 2 weeks or when we're at like a weekly basis, it's like, okay, I can always go back and tell Mona. And Mona will have an answer and she'll tell me what to do. Um,
Do you think that that safety, that space that you felt safe in, do you think if that wasn't present for you, that you would have been able to implement the tools and grow to the point that you have grown?
no, absolutely not. I just think that I would be stuck in cycles where I would be like, no, I'm fine now. And then life would go on and then something would happen and then I'd start spiraling and I'd be completely like off the rails and just not function as a person at all. Whereas having those like regular check-ins and having you guide me through what I'm feeling, how to deal with that is just like, yeah, it has changed my life, as cheesy as that sounds, and that makes me feel a bit sick saying. But I think it's not just me growing up, because how old was I when I started? Like 14?
Yeah.
I was 14 when I started and I'm 20 now. So that transition, it's definitely not just being, oh, she's grown up. I would not be where I know lots of people who have grown up and they've matured and they've got to know themselves and but I'm able to now recognize patterns that used to happen in myself in other people.
Yeah.
And I like, oh, okay, this is what's happening with them. I'm
And that
not gonna
adds to,
verbalize it, but
no,
I'm
but it brings an element of compassion to how you deal with that person because you understand they're navigating something.
yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
it adds to sort of the richness in your life because where you might have taken something they did or said personally, you don't do that anymore because you understand they're actually navigating something. You recognize the same patterns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. So, Grace, you're currently in the Middle East.
Yes,
So this is how you and I met. Grace
yeah,
is originally from Scotland, one of my favorite countries.
Yeah.
um, relocated to the UAE, where she spent most of her young childhood, right?
Yeah, I moved there when I was one.
Yeah, well, most of her childhood, essentially. I think you are more Emirati than you are Scottish for sure. Um, and then after school, relocated to England, where she's now at university in Leeds.
Yeah.
And she's actually very recently traveled from the UK to the Middle East to visit family and to just be home, because for
Yeah.
you, the Middle East is home. And without obviously getting political or anything in that sense, because we don't go there. Um, it's it's something that the conflict there is deeply affecting you without
Yeah.
even like there's no doubt about it. How are you
Yeah.
applying your healing tools to cope with something this big?
I'm doing a lot of tapping.
Yeah.
It's it's frequent. A lot of my friends have seen me do it in the uni bathrooms.
Yeah.
It it's been really rough because my parents are still here, my house, my pets, my friends, like my whole life is here. And it's sort of just been like, right, this is really fucking shit.
Horrible.
Um, it's really bad. And it so yeah, tapping has definitely been one of the most like crucial, integral parts of what I've had to be doing. And I've also been doing a lot of meditating recently to just sort of recenter my brain and have those moments of not thinking and not feeling anxious about what's happening. And yeah, and also practicing just like a lot of compassion because it's not just the UAE that's this is happening to. And this has been going on in other places for a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that anxiety and then having compassion and what other people are feeling in other parts of the region, I just think is absolutely disgusting. And I think this all just needs to stop.
Yeah, I'm of the I'm of the opinion. This is very personal opinion, of course. But
Yeah.
Grace, you and I have these conversations, and I feel like they need to put a bunch of women in charge of the world, because we might be angry that we show up at an event with the same dress, but I don't think we take it quite this far.
I don't even think we're showing up in the same dress. I think we're matching.
But you see, this is my point. This is my point.
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful that you've been able to navigate this without it having thrown you off completely, because you
It
still
definitely
carried on
did.
with life. You still went into uni. Gosh, you just traveled to the UAE. You've traveled to the UAE during this time to be home, to be with your family. Um, and I think that's amazing. And I'm so proud of you for being that grounded and um, having and showcasing the ability to regulate yourself in such a way. Because I mean, I saw you on video today and you are beaming.
I'm just glad to be back.
A lot of people wouldn't be in that position. A lot of people would be anxious, panicked, not even go there. And on top of it, you're having the severe weather combined with everything else. So I think
Yeah,
it's amazing. And I think you are an example of what can be done if you are brave.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm brave for coming to the UAE, which I think is very safe here. And I think without being or sounding insensitive, I think that they're dealing with it very well here. And so I think that's where I've not got so much anxiety about it. But I think that, I have felt anxious about being here and like I'm very lucky to have not heard any of the interceptors. I've slept through them all. But I get the anxiety that people are feeling. And
Absolutely.
I just think like this was like very personal to me. Like I've got friends that haven't come back, and that's, great. And I knew it was a risk coming back, but I knew that if I hadn't come back, I think I think I needed to see it from my own eyes and see what was happening. Because people can tell you stuff, but
Absolutely.
you don't really believe it until you see it.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely. And
yeah,
look, it's also the fact that you know how strong they are and how safe and protected you are while you are there.
yeah,
We know this.
yeah,
Okay, so you've made this massive transition from Dubai to this university in Leeds, a completely different country. It's a new experience for you, away from family and friends and anything familiar. Um, and there are some cultural differences, I suppose, to for you, even though you are from Scotland. Most of your cultural experiences very strongly relate to the UAE.
yeah.
Um, how do you think our work together has helped you to navigate this big transition?
It's made it feel less intense, much less intense than it should be. That, well, not that it should be, but that it's hyped up to be, you know, moving country and starting university and going into, because I'm in musical theatre, having such an intense course. It's very, having done the work preparing me for that and then still having that support while I'm doing that, um, has just made it seem a lot less. It's big, but it's less. I don't know if this is going to make sense, but it's less
Ah,
big inside me.
ah, no,
It's
I get it.
it's been, I'm very grateful to have this support. Um, because I really don't bode well with change. Change is not something that I'm like, and not a lot of people are great with change, but for me, change is just, if something change, it's not great. It it sends us spiraling. But um having like being prepared for that and being, okay, this is probably what I'm going to feel and this is how I'm going to deal with it at the time. That's how having that has just been like amazing when it comes to this, especially not having I'm not going to say privilege, but not being able to go home every weekend. Like a lot of my friends, they don't go home every weekend, but they can.
Yeah, the
If they,
luxury of that.
yeah. And so dealing with that and, being able to stay calm and stay centered
Managing your
has,
hectic schedule.
yeah, yeah, God. Um, But yeah, just sort of like that. And also just being able to figure out a way how to talk to people. Like I've not had to make friends in a while.
Uh-huh.
And so remembering and looking at new ways, not new ways to make friends, but different perspectives of like, okay, remember, this is how you talk to new people. Um, remember that.
You're like
I'm so
me.
used
You
to.
run scripts through your head. No wonder you're a drama student.
But yeah, it's been really great just having that. And again, just having the safety and the steadiness of having you there, of
Do
just
you,
like, okay,
but do you think, like, do you remember when we first started, back when you're like 14, 15, how easily you would miss a day or three or five of school because you just couldn't go in? You could not
yeah,
deal with what was going on there. Do you think that the work that we've been doing has helped you to stay more committed to going to your classes and attending classes at uni, etc.?
definitely. I mean, I still have my slip ups where, I'm like,
You're human. You're
this is
allowed
too
to.
much. Yeah, this is too much for me to deal with right now. I can't. And so I will just bed rot all day. But then it's having that like little voice in my head that's going, hold on, you're gonna go in tomorrow because it's doing a lot more worse lot more bad than it is good. Yeah, if that
Okay,
makes sense.
good. That makes a lot of sense. Grace and I are having a very interesting time with our Wi-Fi connection today with the storms that they're experiencing in the Middle East. So I've just said a little prayer. Let's hope for some stability here. Um, isn't that just life in general, not just the Wi-Fi connection? If you could go back and tell your younger self something about this healing journey, what would that be?
Time doesn't heal everything. Time soothes things,
Mm.
but it doesn't heal everything, and there's no point putting things off and just being like, oh, I'll be fine in a couple of days. And yeah, you might feel fine in a couple of days, but the issue's still going to be there, and it's going to keep on coming up and causing issues until you sort it out. Um, and probably that it's okay to be scared while you're sorting things out. You're allowed to be upset, and you're allowed to feel emotional. You're allowed to cry. Don't worry. You're not gonna you're not gonna get punished because you're getting upset. Or you're not gonna yeah, you're
Emotion
allowed
can't
to be
kill you.
scared. No, it won't. You're gonna be fine. You might feel scared getting vulnerable. You might feel scared doing work with your trauma, but at the end of the day, you're not getting traumatized. You're sorting that out, and you need to remember that while you're going through it.
Yeah, you've actually said something quite important there because a lot of people experience almost a kind of re traumatization when they go to therapy because all they do is talk about their pain over and
Uh,
over. And it's almost like they're reliving it, but they're not doing anything to sort of rip out the root or to move the emotion out of the physical and the energetic body. And that's where these techniques come in. And that's the difference that you've been explaining to everyone. So thank you. You're making it easier for me. What would you say to someone who's hesitant about doing this kind of deep work, especially somebody your age and younger, and somebody who probably thinks at a younger age they should start some kind of therapy, but they're not sure? And what would you say to them?
just do it. Take a page out of Nike's book. Just do it, because it's going to save you so much time and effort later on in life. And it's it's just going to be like you're going to be the best version of yourself, or try to be, a lot sooner on than what a lot of people do, especially for people my age or people younger than me. Like, just honestly, get it over and done with. If you think that you might need help and might need some therapy and might need, there's no point not just trying it, because it's going to do you a lot more good than bad.
And who
And
cares what other people think, right?
yeah, and especially in this day and age, like, everyone goes to therapy. People are very open about going to therapy. Like, people still have it stigmatized in themselves, like for themselves, but not for other people.
Yeah.
And I think if you wouldn't say it to your friend, if you wouldn't say it to your friend, why would you say it to yourself? Like, so if you would tell your friend to go get therapy, or you would be completely fine and okay and not judgy of your friend that's going to go and get therapy, why would you judge yourself?
But isn't
Just
that
get it
an
done with.
interesting concept? Because sometimes before we do the work and before we become aware of our own cycles and patterns, we speak to ourselves in the most horrific way. We would never speak to a friend or anybody else the way we speak to ourselves sometimes. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why self awareness is so important, because if you don't catch yourself in those thoughts, you just keep going down the spiral. And this is what therapy is really good for and great with in my experience working with people. It's actually doing something about what happened instead of just talking about it.
Yeah,
How do you,
definitely. Like,
how do you explain to your friends and your family about this whole transformational process that you've been through? How do you explain it to them? Because surely they've noticed.
well, it's not necessarily something I talk about a lot. My friends are all aware that I'm in therapy, and so is my family. But I feel like that's something that I've like what we do is something that I've been quite reserved with. But
Mm-hmm.
I tell people like I have just become I would not be the person that I am today without it, and that, you know, it is very just yeah, it's great.
But but how would, like, I know surely your family would have noticed the change in your responses and the way you react to certain things and challenging situations and that type of thing. Have they said anything about it, or is everybody just being very quietly observant?
I think people have been quietly observant. I think my mum has definitely said things to me where she's just like she's happy with how far I've come, but she's not said anything like specifically like, "Oh, you wouldn't have done this when you were younger." Like,
She hasn't pointed it out, but I'm sure
no.
she has noticed. Um,
Yeah, I feel like our family dynamic since I've sorted myself out, like it's definitely changed a lot for the
yeah, that's
positive.
true.
I'm able to have relationships.
Your relationship with your family has really improved tremendously.
Yeah. Like I'm able to look at like my dad and I wouldn't like we used to not get along.
Yeah.
And now I have a very good relationship with my dad because I'm able to look at him and our relationship in a very different way than what I did before. Because before I think I wasn't selfish, but I was looking at it from a very like one point of view. Like this is what I see, this is what's happening.
Your side of the coin.
Yeah. Yeah. And just sort of like, oh, ugh. Now I've become a lot more empathetic. And so I'm able to be like, okay, right, well, this is what's happening right now. This is why he's acting that way. Is it necessarily fair right now? No. But there's been less times since I've become less explosive and reactive. He's become less explosive and reactive. And so I feel like having this, like, going through this journey has sort of had a knock on effect with a lot of people in my like close circle.
That's lovely. That's so beautiful. And it demonstrates the concept of how our healing ripples out into the world around us.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the interesting and the fun part, because we're getting to the end of this program that you and I have been on.
No.
And as you're getting ready to graduate from this intensive healing work, what feels different about how you see your future?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about like from when I was 14, I actually see that I do have a future. When I was younger, I was very like, nah,
I remember
I'm
those
not.
days.
I don't. I was very dissociated.
Yeah.
But the from the little things I do remember, I was just like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna make it past like 25. And now I'm just like a girl, huh? Um, oh, come on.
Uh,
Um,
no,
I
but it's true. I see this
yeah.
big, bright future for you. I do. I honestly do. And you're so well
I
on your
now have
way.
like dreams.
Yeah.
I hope so.
It's important, and you know that you deserve this now. And I think that's why you put so much work into this, and why you're so dedicated in your studies and what you're doing. And I've witnessed the way you're approaching things, and it's different. You're approaching this, you're not just going, oh, I'm a student, I'm going to enjoy my student life now. You're actually thinking beyond that, planning beyond that, and sort of getting yourself into a space where you are already ready to make the transition into whatever comes next in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Grace. So tell me, what does it mean to you to be someone who breaks cycles rather than repeat them?
To me, it means a lot. Like, it's very important to me that I don't repeat, I'm not projecting my issues and my trauma onto other people. And especially because in the far, far future, I do want to be a mum one day. And I don't want my kids to have generational trauma like I have. And I don't want to project that onto not just them, but like partners and close friendships. I don't want my issues to affect my relationships. And so, and I also just, I think it's healthy to break cycles, especially not positive ones.
But it can lead to a more fulfilling life. If you break patterns that constantly sabotage you and trip you up, this changes the trajectory of your life, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I think that had I not broken a good few cycles already, that I would again not be where I am today, who I am today, like at all.
And look, you touched on something really important about being a mom in the far future. Um, but you've touched on something that a lot of people aren't aware of. And that's that if we don't heal our trauma before we become parents, we transfer that trauma onto our children for them to then repeat the same cycles that we've been repeating, and then their own as well. So by doing this work, you're decreasing the burden on the future generation. And that's really beautiful. It's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the most important thing you want people to understand about healing trauma and doing this really deep self-awareness shadow work?
Probably like this is gonna sound brutal, but there's no point doing it if you're not gonna put the work in.
It's true.
Because if you don't put the work in, you're not gonna get anywhere.
I can sit here and talk to you every day for 6 years and you can pay me. But if you don't do the work yourself, it's not going to be effective. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Like I just think if you're not gonna put the effort and the work into getting better and realize that this is something that it's not like your therapist, like Mona can help you, but the only person at the end of the day that is in your brain and is dealing with the emotions is you. Like, so the only person that can fix it is you, you know?
And I want to actually reframe that word fix
Okay.
because it sounds like you think you're broken, and people do think that they're broken.
Mhm.
And that's a belief that people need to get rid of very quickly. You're not someone or a project to be fixed. But what we can do is we can change.
Yeah.
Because fundamentally, as a human being, you are not broken. You're just repeating survival patterns all the time. And you can change the survival patterns, which has this ripple effect that we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I always leave my listeners with 3 key takeaways at the end of an episode, which is
Yes.
very difficult when we are doing a transformation showcase. So I am going to ask you to
Okay.
please share 3 key insights or pieces of wisdom with our listeners, whether they're just starting on their healing journey, whether they're halfway through, whether they're considering starting their journey, whatever their specific context might be. What 3 things would you tell them?
Wow. The first one is, again, as we've just touched on, put the work in.
Are you not angry with me for giving you homework after sessions anymore?
No more. No more. I was. I was a couple years ago, but not anymore. And it's taking that responsibility for yourself. Another one would probably be kind to yourself going while you're going through it, because th- it's hard. Give yourself that extra bit of grace and have that coffee in the morning after a hard day, or watch your TV show. Don't beat yourself up over small things that are probably going to make you feel a bit better.
Have compassion for yourself.
Yeah. And then my third thing, is probably, I don't know. Maybe,
What did you find challenging? And once you sort of pushed through it, you realized that it wasn't as bad as it perhaps presented in the beginning.
ah, accepting the fact that, you know, things need to change, and that, you know, certain, just accepting the fact that, you need to, if you have an inkling that you might need to go to therapy, you probably need to go to therapy, and accepting that, and accepting, all parts of yourself, that
And
some parts,
understanding you're not broken.
yeah, yeah, and accepting just every little bit of you, even the bits you don't like, that is, at the end of the day, gonna get you a lot further than rejecting, certain things like anger or sadness or grief. Like, you just need to accept it, deal with it, and then you can see what's going to happen. Because if you're going to reject it, it's going to get you nowhere.
So you and I have done a lot of this,
Yeah.
where you've subconsciously been rejecting parts of yourself or behaviors that you exhibit. It's not a part of your personality, it's a behavior.
Yeah.
And the moment you accepted it, what did you realize transformed?
Everything, honestly. Oh, pardon me. Everything. I just think I became a lot more secure in myself, my personality, in my body, in relationships. I felt so much more secure once I'd finally gone, yeah, you're there. I see you.
But did you
Do I
also
miss you?
notice that these behaviors sort of started stopping naturally?
Yeah, yeah, because I can see them. You
You were aware of them.
notice what is conscious. It becomes conscious.
There we go.
There we go.
It's all about making the unconscious conscious, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing those 3 points. So, before we close out, Grace, thank you so much for your vulnerability and authenticity in sharing your story today. Your journey is such a beautiful testament to what's possible when someone is willing to do the deep work of healing root causes rather than just managing the symptoms.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love being able to help people, and if sharing my story manages to help just like one person, that's great. I'm set for life. But I also I love you, and I wanted to help this beautiful business that you've built. And so, yeah, thank you so much for listening to me yap on. Very good one.
It's been a pleasure for me, and I hope that our interaction showcases the fact that the relationships I have with my clients become deeper than just me being your therapist. We check in with one another and we follow up, and even when we're not busy doing the work, we stay in touch. So yeah, thank you for being here, Grace. You volunteered to do this and to be vulnerable in front of a lot of people. And I am just, again, so exceptionally proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, everybody.
For our listeners, I want you to hear something important in Grace's story. Healing isn't linear, it's not always comfortable, and it definitely requires courage. But when you're willing to go back to the beginning and address what's really driving your patterns, transformation becomes inevitable. Grace started this journey as a teenager, struggling with anxiety and rejection patterns, and she's ending it as a confident young woman who can navigate major life transitions with grace and wisdom. That's not luck. That's what happens when you heal the root cause and integrate the fragments. If Grace's story resonates with you, if you're tired of managing symptoms and ready for actual transformation, I want you to know that this level of healing is possible for you too. Your wounds really are your spiritual curriculum, and when you're ready to transform them into wisdom, everything changes. Remember, beautiful human, you don't have to stay stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. You have the power to become the person who breaks cycles instead of repeating them. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you in the next episode where we'll continue exploring what it really means to go back to the beginning and heal from the root cause up. Until then, be gentle with yourself and trust your healing. You're exactly where you need to be. Thank you, dear soul, for joining me on Back to the Beginning. If this episode resonated with you, please rate this podcast and share it with somebody else who needs the message. When you rate this podcast and take a screenshot, send it to us via DM on Instagram and we'll send you a free healing resource as our gift to you. Find all our programs and connect with me at www.expergotherapy.com, where transformation meets practical reality. Until next time, remember, you have everything within you to heal and connect authentically. See you next episode.